Hello, YouTubers, friends, compatriots, bootlickers, shills, devs, slayers, peasants, vassals, minions. I'm a useful idiot. Welcome. And today I want to talk about Iraq. And more importantly, we now have a full assault on Kurdish territory in Iraq by ISIS. And as I pointed out in previous videos, there's been sort of an understanding, or at least a truce of convenience between ISIS and the Kurds. When ISIS first made their assault, this last major assault in Iraq and moving towards Baghdad. Of course, they wanted to concentrate on their main target, Baghdad, and for at least the time being, they were willing to not confront Kurdish forces. And there's been various clashes along their lines all across Iraq. So we have seen lots of clashes here and there between the Kurds and ISIS, but for the most part, there's been somewhat of an understanding. And there was a minor assault on Kirkuk by ISIS, but the Kurds managed to hold on to the territory there. And in actuality, up to now, the Kurds have been able to expand their territory and hadn't really lost any, certainly not to ISIS. But now that's changed, so this is kind of a big deal. The fact that ISIS has gotten comfortable enough with all their new equipment and all their new recruits that they're going to continue their assault on Baghdad and the Iraqi government. But now they are going to turn on the Kurds in earnest. And now the Kurds have actually lost 3 towns, Sinjar, Zumar, and Wana. And this should be no surprise because it's been fairly clear by ISIS' own statements how they actually feel about the Kurds. And they've been very aggressive towards the Kurds in Syria for quite some time. So it was only a matter of time before they turned on the Kurds in Iraq. And that whole standoff has been one of convenience. But now they've turned their sights on the Kurds. And these 3 towns are in northern Iraq, but part of their significance is there's a oil field that they've captured so they can produce more money in the black market. But also they have access to the Mosul dam now. And they could potentially destroy the Mosul dam and wreak all kinds of havoc, needless to say. And this is something that they've targeted in other parts of Iraq as well. And one of the other issues here is the fact that although most Kurds are Sunnis, there are some tribes that are Shia. And it just turns out that several of these towns have Kurdish Shias in these towns. So we're expected to see some atrocities because we also know how ISIS feels about Shias. So this is a big development. And not only that, mostly it's psychologically significant because now ISIS is confronting Kurds. And not only that, ISIS has been successful against Kurds. And we already know that the Kurds are substantially more effective than the Iraqi military forces. And so for ISIS to have these victories against the Kurds is a big development for them as well. And 2 other things have come out of this situation, though, because now we had a Kurdish lobby that recently visited Washington, and they are getting more heavy weapons provided by the United States. So not only did they have a windfall of heavy equipment from the abandoned areas by the Iraqi army, but they're now apparently getting heavy weapons through Washington, D.C. and the United States. And this will also help them in the field against ISIS. But we also have Syrian Kurds, and there's been some rifts between the Syrian Kurds and Iraqi Kurds at different points. But the ISIS attacks and atrocities in Syria have united the Kurds to a certain extent. And now we have Syrian Kurds moving from Syria into Iraq to reinforce the forces there. So this is also another interesting shifting dynamic. And the forces coming in from Syria, of course, have had a couple of years' experience fighting against ISIS, so they'll be invaluable reinforcing the Kurds in Iraq. So there we have it, a fairly big development. Kurds, ISIS finally turning their sights against the Kurds. The honeymoon is over, and now potentially an entire new front opens in Iraq. I'm a useful idiot. Don't you be one too.